you were mentioning earlier that your partner, and I asked if this was okay to talk about their partner, is from California.
They are. They're from Southern California, San Diego County, to be specific.
Okay. And then, so how did you get together and then, I guess, move up here?
Believe it or not, weird story. I was dating an individual back on the East Coast, and they introduced me to now my significant other.
Okay. Yeah, it happens. It happens in straight, heterosexual, whatever, cisgendered relationships as well.
Yeah. And we dated for about a year, and then we broke up, and I needed somebody at that time, and we became really close friends. And at this time, we lived across country from each other.
Okay.
I was in Northern Virginia, outskirts of D.C. is where I'm from. Mm-hmm. And they were all the way over in San Diego.
Wow.
And we made long distance work. We got together, like, officially claimed a relationship in July of 2016. And then I actually made a one-way move from Virginia to California by October the same year.
Wow.
I was like, all right, packing up all of my things. I was like, because for one, I was in a bad situation that I needed to get away from and out of. And they opened up that door, and I was like, hey, like, I have to take this opportunity. And
it is hard to move to California.
So
if you have some connections there, whether that's a lover relationship or friends and whatever, and it's a place you want to live, that makes sense to move there. But there's also a kind of a mass exodus happening from California because it is so expensive.
It is very expensive. We lived in a house consisting of 5 working people.
Oh.
Or an apartment, I should say. It wasn't even a house. It was a 3-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
And we were able to get by only because of how many people were working people there.
Right. Oftentimes, well, pretty much everybody I knew there, unless they were extremely wealthy, they had shared places. Mm-hmm. And it was much more so than other parts of the country that I've traveled extensively throughout the country. And they would take rooms that aren't meant as bedrooms, and they would make them into bedrooms.
Oh, absolutely.
So you would lose space within the apartment to just have like a common space, like a living room or something like that. Even closet space.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, if it's like a roomy closet, they would actually turn it into a room.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
When I actually first moved here to Idaho, we were looking at houses in the southern Idaho area, and I think it was Buell that we were at. And it was listed as a 3-bedroom house, and we get there, and it's literally 2 closets in a bedroom.
Okay.
I was like, how do you list this as a 3-bedroom house?
Is that here in Boise?
That was in Buell. That's southern Idaho.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So near the Twin Falls area.
Okay.
It's about
That's
15, 20 minutes away.
Because it doesn't seem that like that area is all that gentrified.
It's not.
Okay. So this was just some person.
Random town.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Random town, random person. Hey, I got this open. And he was like, yeah, it's, I think he said it was 2 3/4 bedroom.
Yeah.
And
well, people are also buying, like those sheds from the big box, hardware stores or whatever, and they're calling that an apartment or an extra house or something. Even people up in Alaska are calling them cabins.
Or tiny homes, yeah.
It's like, well, okay, there's no insulation, and this is either an oven or it's a freezer, depending on...
You're going to have to put a lot of work into it to get it livable.
Yeah, really a lot. Oh, we have another bee again.
Yeah.
Well, actually, speaking of that, I did notice coming into Idaho that there's a lot of insects here.
There is.
I actually love bees, but hello. Yeah, we're having them.
I think I actually smacked him.
Oh, whoops. Yeah, don't want to do that. Bees are our friends. Yeah. But I did notice that coming into Idaho, there's a lot of insects here. So actually the environment here must be just really healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we have ant problems and problems with flies all the time.
Right.
Ants started showing up literally 2 months ago.
Okay.
And we were like, oh no.
Yeah, you'd think you'd get a break like with winter time or something.
No,
no. Okay.
Our winter came late, and it actually didn't stay that long either.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, down in Colorado, where I was spending this past winter, it was kind of a pitiful winter.
Yeah.
It was very dry. There was maybe like less than half a dozen pulses of snow.
Yeah.
And they would last like one day.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah. I think that's what we got up here in Boise, too, is we only got maybe 2 that I would consider snowstorms.
Okay.
And I lived in Twin
And the
Falls.
mountains are just right there.
Yeah,
I mean,
they're right there.
Yeah.
And they're beautiful, too.
Yeah.
But in Twin Falls, we'd get it all the time. And I was just sitting here like, oh, my God, what are we going to do? I can't keep missing work when we live down there.
Oh, yeah, right.
Became a work concern. Not only that, but...
Well, there I bet you get a lot of drifting snow.
We did.
Yeah.
A lot of it. Especially the further out that you live from the city. The worse the blackout conditions would get, I think is what they call them.
Okay.
Or snow squalls, drifting.
Okay, like whiteout conditions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't see in front of you.
Yeah,
and stuff.
no.
Yeah. So your partner is or used to live in California, and now they're out here in Idaho. That must have been quite a culture shock for both of you.
Oh, totally, 100%.
Yeah.
We came from a very accepting place in California where people were like, you're just another person trying to live their life. No comments, no remarks.
Sure.
You might get a stare once in a while.
Okay.
But that's
because
normal.
It's a heavily militarized area down by San Diego.
Absolutely.
Yeah. It's more conservative compared to the other big cities there.
Mm-hmm. And I remember going to, I think it was Six Flags out in California, Magic Mountain, I think is what they called it out there. And the uncomfortable look on this man's face, if looks could have killed. And I was just sitting here like, we're just minding our own business, waiting in line to get food, but nothing was said. But here it's the complete opposite. They will literally come right up to you and start in on you if you allow them that space.
Wow.
So.
Wow. So I don't really like to talk about people who aren't part of the interview if they are, in an intimate relationship. But what's it like, I guess, talking around this subject, what's it like being in a relationship with another trans person?
It's actually pretty well.
Yeah.
I actually genuinely value relationships more with other trans people than I have with other cis individuals.
Okay.
I think it's because we can relate on so many different aspects of life.
Right.
Being born ways that we don't feel like is us, for one. A lot of us have baggage, and a lot of our baggage seems to be kind of common within each other.
And also, I would imagine some of the daily stressors, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Around being trans, which sometimes don't stop, even if you are fully transitioned, if that's, your goal or whatever. Even if you pass, there's still things that come up. I mean, I started physically transitioning, almost 25 years ago, and there's still things that come up for me,
absolutely.
Legal stuff or medical stuff. I mean, it's kind of never ending.
Yeah, it's just a journey. That's what I tell everybody. Transitioning is a journey. It's not a race.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that we do is compare ourselves to each other and somebody who's more advanced.
Okay. Yeah, right.
And I'm just sitting here like, we can't do that.
What does advanced mean?
Like, for example, I never got the voice drop. Sitting with somebody else who's got that deeper voice that I wanted.
Sure.
And I'm just sitting here like jealous because of it.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's my giveaway.
Okay.
It is totally my giveaway. That is the only thing people latch on to here in Idaho is my voice.
Yeah. I noticed that recently, too, there's been a lot of professionals coming up who do voice training.
Oh, nice.
And that might not be something that is that you can access because it's also very expensive and probably not covered by insurance and that sort of thing. And who knows, there's probably not a lot of professionals up here that do it. But I noticed in other cities, like in Denver, for instance, that's a big thing that people are doing. Yeah. For transmasculine as well as transfeminine people.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's some progress a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you want that kind of thing, it is available, but not maybe here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I also wanted to mention that dysphoria or dysmorphia, whatever you would like to call it, will always be around the corner, regardless of how far into it that you went, because I still see like my mother in my face, and that for me is one of the triggering things.
Okay. Yeah.
Top surgery, not being able to have the access or resources due to lack of health care.
Yes.
And not many.
And you're saying it costs from $10,000 to $15,000, and you have to have that up front.
Up front.
Here you go.
Or you have to be able to apply for care credit, but you have to have credit scores and able to apply for care credit.
And if you've experienced any kind of workplace discrimination, if you've moved a lot, COVID impacted people's credit scores a lot because there were just a lot of shutdowns, but people still had bills.
Absolutely. And believe it or not, one thing that I was really surprised at what affected my credit score was my name change.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
I went down 100 points.
Wow.
Just for changing my name.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know why it happened, but I wrote through all of my credit bureaus to be like, hey, what's going on? Fix this, please.
They, very much like the big tech companies, the credit agencies, they're not accountable. They can do whatever they want.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. It's a terrible system we have here. I mean, I think capitalism just in itself is terrible.
It is.
It's very punishing. It makes everybody compete against each other. And it just keeps getting worse. Because we used to not have these credit scores.
Oh, I know.
It's like a
Back
recent
in
thing.
the day,
Yeah.
there was no credit scores, and it was only made to be a temporary solution to fix a problem. But unfortunately, it stayed.
Yeah.
And it just keeps getting more and more constrictive.
Yeah.
And you need to have a credit score to get a house. You need to have it to get a car. You need to have one almost to even go to college anymore.
A lot of workplaces, I think, probably check on it too.
Yeah, they do.
I know when I apply for jobs, suddenly my artist page will have a lot more hits.
Yeah.
And that's because HR people are looking me up on the internet.
Yeah.
Yep.
And not only that, but a lot of housing, even apartments now, will do credit checks.
Well, even houses, like single family dwelling units that are turned into like kind of boarding houses, like people are sharing them and that sort of thing. They're often bought up by corporations these days.
Yeah.
So you have to deal with a corporation rather than just people.
Yeah.
And
I was like, so to prove I'm responsible, I need to be in debt.
Yeah, right.
And I was like, that does not make sense.
Yeah. Our system is just terrible. It's terrible. There's no help. And then if you make any mistake, if you're not completely perfect, you get punished over and over.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm looking forward to the revolution. Come on, young people. Make it happen. Anyway, so you said that you enjoy being with trans people around you.
Yes.
Does that also include like friendships and that sort of thing? You mostly hang out with trans people?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
It just makes me feel like I'm more seen. It makes me feel like I'm more heard.
Yeah.
When
you don't have to explain yourself.
I don't have to explain myself.
Nah.
And anytime I try to make genuine connections and friendships with cis people, there's always that gut feeling like, hey, this might be a subject or something you need to dance around. You can't actually tell them what's going on.
Okay.
Or are they going to use that as leverage towards you at some point? So it might just be a trauma response.
Yeah. But it's a trauma response that is often based in reality, whether that's your life or other trans people's lives.
It's like, can I trust you with this information?
Right. Especially since there's no state protections.
No.
Yeah, no nothing. And there's such, overt bigotry here. I mean, wow. Yeah. I feel for you. I mean, I'm not going to say that you're stuck here, but it sounds like not an ideal kind of situation. So how do you deal with that? How do you maintain a good spirit? How are you able to survive or maybe even thrive here with that sort of pressure on you all the time?
The honest truth is I'm a workaholic. So keeping my mind and my hands busy and keeping
Okay.
away from that negative
Sure.
environment is what keeps me going.
Okay.
And I'm also extroverted, so I love being outdoors and going on adventures
Okay.
and stuff like that. So doing things to take care of yourself. Self-care is extremely important.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that is good about Idaho, especially this area, is the mountains are accessible just right there.
Oh, yeah.
And lots of hot springs and all that.
Oh, yeah. Hot springs. You have the mountains, like you said, but there's also the green belt, lots of trails and stuff to explore.
Right in
You
town.
can go biking. If you're into fitness, like gyms galore up here.
Okay.
And one of the other ways that I like to do things is going to like these mom or very small events.
Okay.
Mom pop events and stuff like that.
Are these like the moms who hug and
Oh,
that
yeah.
sort of thing? Okay.
They're called mama dragons here.
Okay. All right.
So just going to those events, knowing that they stand with you and
Yes.
your rights.
Yes.
And that they're
And
here
it's
to
not
protect.
just it's not just the LGBT or just the trans community itself.
It's everybody.
It's a much larger group.
Yeah.
That seems like
It's very inclusive.
yeah, it really promotes safety. And from what you're saying, it sounds like it really helps you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
Yeah.
Just being around with people that love you for who you are and they don't want to change any aspect of you.
Right. All right. Since we're out in the park and I'm unable to plug in my computer and the equipment has a lot of draw to it, we're going to have to wind down this interview a little bit early. And you were mentioning how you're able to kind of get by or thrive here, and that has to do with getting out into nature, going hiking, going to the hot springs, going up into the mountains, and then also going to these events with allies.
Yes, absolutely.
And parents of trans people and that sort of thing, and that's very helpful. But I'm imagining that there's a lot of pressure on you still, that this may not be home.
Yeah,
So,
it's a stepping stone.
yeah, you were mentioning that you are thinking about moving.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually, me and my significant other have been talking about it for
Yeah.
a couple months now, is relocating to Minnesota.
Okay, and then why specifically?
Minnesota has been the most progressive state in the United States
Okay.
in its entirety when it comes to...
It's very quiet about it, though.
It is.
Yeah.
But supporting the minorities, they have a lot of trans protections. They have healthcare options for trans people.
Okay, great. And they actually have a long history of that.
They do.
Going back to the 70s. Yeah.
And then their wages are higher.
Yes.
Their cost of living is lower.
Absolutely. It's a very high quality of living there.
That's what we have been researching
Yeah.
on, because I don't like to just jump for it after my experience with
Yeah.
Twin Falls.
Right, right.
So I'm doing my due diligence, and
And it is also very beautiful there as well.
Yeah, it's
you
beautiful.
You can go up to like Lake Superior, past Duluth, and it's all forested. There's the beautiful lake there. There's small little towns dotting the landscape. It's gorgeous up there.
yeah. But hoping that within the next 5 to 10 years, that is my goal, is to be out in Minnesota living
Okay.
my best life.
Okay, great, great. Well, I really hope for you that for you. I actually was born there, and I have I had older relatives there. They've now passed on. Yeah, it's a nice state. In fact, they have Minnesota nice, which is not nice. It's actually passive aggression. There's actually a lot of people get into little car wrecks because of Minnesota nice, because they're like, oh no, you go. Oh no, you go. And then they both go and
Oh, no.
yeah. But yeah, people are very polite there. There's some the rent isn't too high, yeah, and you can get pretty decent jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really wish you luck there. There's good protections there as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, yeah, that's a long-term plan, though, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, but that's what you got to do if you're in an economic situation that is difficult.
Yep, and that's definitely where I'm at now.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. Well, good luck.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you'll be moving from this place eventually.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love the land here. and there's some other things that I love here, but I don't know if I would move here.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm a pretty tough person, and I don't know if I could do it. Anyway.
It's not for everybody.
Yeah, it's not for everybody. Wow. Yeah, I think the biggest like it that way, though, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hopefully we can turn the tide here, though. Anyway, thank you so much for meeting with me. I'm always impressed when, just to meet with a stranger and talk about kind of like these really intimate issues.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Anytime.
Yeah, all right. Okay. Let's turn this a little bit towards you again. Okay. All right, so we're back in the park, and you can see we have different lighting, and there's a little bit of wind, and here we are in our butch clothing. Although you have some trans colors here, which I'm very impressed with. I do not. So anyway, so after I turned off the computer last time because my computer was running out of electricity, it's difficult to save, when you're down at the end there. So I like to, turn it off before that happens, so it saves well. You mentioned, though, that you'd had a hysterectomy and that the state had actually tried to step in to prevent it, or something like that.
Yes,
so
they did.
I want you to talk about that, because we're in Idaho here, and it's really hardcore.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that, actually, of the state doing something like that. So
absolutely, and I'm on state-funded Medicaid, so with the recent bills, they're trying to get trans care completely deleted from Medicaid.
Okay.
So,
but
this was before.
It isn't yet, though.
No, not yet.
Okay, but they're in the process.
Yeah, they are in the process of trying to get this signed down.
Okay. And when did you have your hysterectomy?
I had it done in January.
Okay, all
My
right.
original date was supposed to be in October of last year, 23.
Did you advocate to have it much sooner because you were worried or something? Or?
No, actually it was my doctor.
Okay. So your doctor did?
My doctor was advocating for me to have it sooner because they're like, your rights are on the line every single day. The reasons behind getting the surgery was for gender affirming care and also due to underlying medical issues.
Okay.
So for example, I have what's called a hypertonic pelvic floor. So I'm in a constant state of spasming with my muscles.
Okay.
And my PCP was like, yeah, you're one of two people that I know, and the other one is wheelchair bound.
Okay.
So let's try to explore your options.
Yeah, so your doctor was trying to get you that care as soon as possible.
Absolutely. Yeah. I went through physical therapy twice a week, every week for 6 months for my condition, trying to get things to settle down. Didn't help. Finally got referred to a GYN, and they were absolutely fantastic about everything.
Okay.
And very trans friendly up here. And they were like, well, here is your options. You could either continue physical therapy and some sort of pain management related stuff, or we can go ahead and just take everything. And I was like, just take it. I'm not going to use it anyway.
Yes, right.
I was like, if anything, it causes, more mental pain and also physical at that point.
Yeah.
And she was like, all right, well, let's get you on the books. I was scheduled originally for October 13th of 23 for surgery. And I had gotten a phone call 2 days before the surgery. So October 11th, I received a phone call from the hospital up here saying that my surgery had been denied, even though Medicaid covers hysterectomies.
Okay. Right. And you could probably look at a statute or something, or some rules that say that.
Absolutely. Okay. Yeah. And I was obviously upset and frantic about the situation, and I was like, I need to have this surgery done.
Yeah, for multiple reasons.
For multiple reasons.
Yeah.
And it took 3 different phone numbers to finally get in contact with somebody who knew what actually was happening with my stuff and why it was being denied. And they literally told me on the phone it was because I had gender dysphoria or gender identity disorder labeled in my chart.
Okay.
And I was like, well, what in the world can I do to fix this? So then we went through the appeals.
But that wasn't illegal at that point.
It wasn't illegal at that point. But because of having those trans identities and language thrown into my profile, they just immediately stopped it.
Okay. So they did it of their own accord,
Yeah.
having nothing to do with any sort of rules or laws or anything. It
No.
was just their judgment.
It was their judgment.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I was less
Against
than.
against the judgment of your doctor.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then me and my doctor had to go and actually, what do you call it? Appeal their decisions.
Right.
I had to do
So
a
did you
written,
need to be like pre-authorized for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to do a written appeal. My doctor went in front of their board to appeal the decision.
Wow.
They went in front of the hospital to appeal the decision.
Wow.
And they were
Well,
like,
that doctor really went there.
oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And they are fantastic for what
Great.
they've done for
Great.
me.
Yeah.
And within 2 months, I got another letter saying, hey, you've been approved
Okay.
to finally have your surgery.
Okay.
And their next available date was January of 2024. And I was like, all right, like, I'll take it. Let's go.
Did you keep all that paperwork, by the way?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Obviously.
Good.
I was like, because you never know nowadays when you'll need something
Yeah.
and have a backlog of
Yeah, yeah.
anything, especially medically.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, so let's go ahead and scheduled it for January. And had the surgery done. And I will say about 3 weeks ago, I received another letter from Medicaid and the hospital system saying that they're actually fighting each other right now on the payment process.
Oh.
So they haven't even been paid yet for my surgery.
Wow. Okay.
And out of
That's
pocket-
actually pretty common to take several months,
Yeah.
but that they're fighting about it.
Yeah, they're fighting now.
Wow.
And that was a $35,000 surgery.
Wow.
And I'm like, I don't have that money.
Yeah.
You said you were going to approve this. The surgery out of pocket would have cost me $35,000.
Yeah,
And
wow.
obviously somebody who lives paycheck to paycheck,
Right.
you don't have that kind of funds.
Right,
to
you're
go
on
around.
Medicaid for
I'm
a
on
reason.
Medicaid for a reason.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, but my experience has been like, okay, our doors are open, but also our doors are closed at the same time. Like, we have people here to help you, but they're also being told, you know, it might not be a good idea to help this person.
Right. And it's
So-
kind of preemptive because nothing has actually happened legally.
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing has happened legally yet. And from my knowledge, the bill is already on the desk, though, for it to happen.
Okay.
And they have it planned to go in effect starting next year if it gets signed, which pretty sure it's Idaho.
Yeah.
They're just going to be like, all right, here you go. So
Yeah. But it's so strange that individuals out here in the world are just taking it upon themselves to do things
Oh, yeah.
that are illegal.
For sure.
Because somehow it matches some bigoted legislator. You know?
For sure.
Yeah.
I just feel like, unfortunately, here in Idaho, we're just being shunned, basically very unaccepted,
Yeah.
and you don't belong, so we're going to make it as impossible for
Yeah.
you to reach the milestones or goals or quality of life care.
Yeah, you said it was even difficult to get care in the first place.
It is.
Yeah.
Definitely, for
Yeah.
sure. Because unfortunately, a lot of the physicians here don't have the knowledge, or if they do have the knowledge, they're going to other states because they can be of more help there
Right.
than here because they're restricted.
Right. And that leaves trans people without health care, or they have to follow those doctors to another state. And then you're out of plan and you're paying a lot more money, which you
yeah.
don't have.
No.
Nope.
Absolutely not.
Yep. Right.
When you're on state Medicaid for a reason, it's because you don't have the funds, and you can only use that Medicaid within your state lines.
Yeah. Right.
Unless you are referred to an out-of-state by an in-state provider, then they'll make an exception.
Okay.
Then
Then they'll probably fight about it again, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like, it literally took me a year to
Yeah.
get a referral process done from
Yeah.
Idaho to Utah, which is the 6-hour drive that I've done to see neurology care. So.
Yeah. Yeah, even in a, welcoming or blue state or a state that has good laws like Colorado, out of the last 3 months, I've only had testosterone for 1 month because I had my prescription changed.
Oh, yeah.
And they had to go through pre-authorization, and each time it took a month.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so strange.
I just went through that actually this past month.
Yeah.
And it took me about 3 to 4 weeks to finally get any answers on anything. And I'm like, my body depends on this.
Yeah.
I no longer have parts that were in me before.
I know. It's like, and you call each of these entities, the doctor, the pharmacist, the Medicaid line or whatever, and they all pass the buck.
They do.
It's
this person. It's that person.
There's no accountability at all, and they'll say, "Oh, it's going to take another 5 to 7 days," and then you call again, and we don't have any record of that. We're let's get on that today.
I've been there, done that. At least there's a messaging chart that I have with my doctor, and I was like, hey, I've been out of this for 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
They keep saying they need prior authorization. Have they sent anything over? Can you do anything?
Right.
They're like, we haven't received anything. I was like, of course not.
Yeah, and I'm going to say it, and I've been a member of Costco for a long time. It's Costco. Yeah. Costco was giving me so much trouble. They do not want to deal with people on Medicaid, apparently. I mean, I've heard this from other people as well. I mean, it's a huge corporation, and I like shopping there because, if you buy in bulk, you can get cheaper stuff. Yeah. But their pharmacies suck.
Mine is Walmart.
Okay.
Walmart is awful. Always has been awful towards, me getting my medication filled through them.
Wow.
It's
like we're running out of options because... also Walgreens and CVS, there's been lots of cases of pharmacists just denying people medications, whether it's abortion or hormones or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. I had a pharmacist in Twin Falls really not even want to deal with me.
Yeah. Right.
And it's because they knew that I was a trans person because I went
Did they tell you to leave or just said, this other place would be better for you?
They actually would be like, we can't get it in. We can't get it in. Right. I can't get it in excuse.
Sure.
No, you can get it in.
Right.
I was on medication for other stuff too, and he flat out looked at me in the face. I believe you're too young to be on these kinds of treatment. And I was like, you don't have an opinion to interject into what my doctors think is the best course of action. Mind your business.
Their job is just to fill it out, to give you the prescription, not to question it.
And anytime I went in there to get an HRT related prescription, they would deny it or say we can't get it. But I can go up the street to a little family pharmacy and I'm able to walk out the door same day with it.
Yeah. What Costco has been doing also, besides this whole pre-authorization fiasco, which I know that they weren't contacting my doctor. I know it.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Every time I go in there, they question why my doctor was in a different county.
Oh, gotcha.
But if you're on Medicaid, as you probably know, it's hard to actually find doctors that will take it.
Yeah,
sometimes.
It is. It is very complicated.
I was getting into a medical system rather than just a doctor in a private practice. So, within that system, they have quotas about how many Medicaids patients that they're going to take, and the only one at the time was a doctor new to the system, and that was all the way down in Boulder. But every time I go into Costco, they were like, "Why is your doctor in another county?" It doesn't fucking matter.
No,
doesn't fucking matter.
Business.
But every time they wouldn't even put a note in the computer.
No. It's very surprising on how we're just treated in general. Yeah.
And I looked at the reviews online, and a lesbian had gone in there and she felt like she was treated strangely too. So I was like, maybe there's a deeper problem here.
But the thing is all these companies want to advocate that they're for the community, but behind the scenes, as we're dealing with individual stuff, it's like, no, you're going the opposite direction. Help us out here.
And also, a lot of trans people are in poverty, and a lot of that has to do with discrimination. You can't get a job or whatever. I mean, I have a master's degree, and it's very difficult for me to get a job.
Absolutely.
So you have that baseline economic poverty, and then that affects the rest of your life. You're on Medicaid. I'm on Medicaid. Yeah. It's difficult. So
Unfortunately, the system is against us. Poor is meant to stay poor, I guess, at this point.
Right. I'm waiting for the revolution. Come on, kids, do it.
The kids coming up nowadays, I think the government should be scared. They're
Yeah.
pretty smart, and they're scary to me. And
They're scary to you.
oh, yes, they are.
Why?
They have zero filter.
Oh, okay.
Like the kids coming up now, I think that they'll be the ones to at least break in a little bit.
Okay, I'm not afraid of them at all. I think they're really communicative. I think they're really sensitive to each other.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's interesting how like the older people, my age and older, are being very insensitive. Like, I don't care about your feelings,
Yeah.
and to live in society with one another, you have to care about other people's feelings.
Absolutely. But they're all about the critical thinking too. And my generation was like, here, stay in the corner, shut up, put your face in the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't look up, don't make friends, don't do this, don't do that. And
mine was a bit more contrarian, at least if you were a punk.
yeah.
Right. But then you were so against the system that maybe you weren't part of it at all. And then once again, you're in poverty.
Yeah.
So it needs to, there needs to be a bigger groundswell.
Yeah.
More people involved. Hey, Bubba. Anyway, my dog is complaining. He's being a real pill today. Yeah. I give him a lot of freedom, though. So there you go. I understand, Bubba. Okay. All right. Any last words here?
No, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you for telling me that this place is often used for weddings and that sort of thing. I had no idea. In the last part of our interview, there was like an army of city workers, and I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I had no idea about that either. And
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, we might have to move it elsewhere because the chainsaws and everything else going on. And I was like,
But now I understand. I guess a lot of people have outdoor weddings here.
yeah, outdoor weddings, prom season. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think about those things. So
Yeah.
But these are beautiful parks. Thank you, Boise, for allowing us to have it here.
Yeah. Idaho is very beautiful.
Yeah, it is beautiful. If only
If only the people were better.
That's right. Extend that beauty to beauty in your heart.
Yes.
Anyway, thank you so much. Thanks
you.
again. Yes.
Nice meeting you.
Nice to meet you. All right. Bye, y'all. See you later.